Recording in progress.
All right, let's get started. I'm Pamela Vines, and I own Vines Film and Media. And welcome to our monthly webinar. And this month, we are doing a topic that I especially enjoy. It is 8 things to know before you film a documentary. So let me share my screen and we will get started. And here's our agenda. We would spend a few moments just introducing ourselves and then go into just take a gauge of any experience that any of you have had making documentaries or other films. And then we'll just jump right into the 8 things to know before you start a documentary project. I will start with my journey and who I am. I have been filmmaking for my business has been in existence since 2014. And we've been focusing on film for the past 4 years specifically. So, with any of you who know our company, Vines Film and Media, we started as a public relations firm because that is my background. That's what I did in the US Army for 20 years. I was an administrative and then public affairs officer in the Army. And I worked a lot with media relations, community relations, and I oversaw my soldiers who specialized in the things I'm doing now, in the filmmaking, in the writing. And I really envied what they were doing, but I was the boss. I didn't get to do anything. I would just oversee and assign work and edit and produce. I was the executive producer in a sense. So after I retired from the Army, I started my business and I just jumped head on in. I worked for a defense organization for a while, but my passion, writing and filmmaking called me, and here I am today. So we again started filmmaking, um, not so much doing public relations work. It just evolved into strictly the filmmaking because as a PR firm, we would train people on media relations. So we had equipment, we had cameras, monitors, etc., and we would train people on how to respond to the media in the event of a crisis. So we would film them, do mock interviews, and after that, we would play back the interview and watch their any tics, give them any advice on how to better respond, talking about voice inflection, messaging. And so that was good, but it wasn't as much fun for us as actually doing the films. So that's where we got started. That's where we ended up do or what we do now. After I retired, my film journey actually began with doing, of course, business films. We create cinematic video and short film for business owners who want to stand above their competition. And that is, we do training videos, promotional video, branding, testimonial, all types of video projects that would fit into a person's sales funnel. And our favorite types of video and people to work with are people that have a story to tell, because story is our underlying foundation. And with that, that's what we do for businesses. But then moving into the filmmaking, a lot of businesses don't want a film about their business, and that would be a corporate documentary. A lot of them only want short promo videos from 1 to 3 minutes. But otherwise, um, if someone does do a documentary, it just really gets us excited, and we are on board with that because documentary filmmaking, not just the documentary agenda, but actually doing feature films is what we really enjoy. So I'm going to talk about the things that we have accomplished so far in the business. These are the short films we've done. And these 2 short films here were not for any business in a sense. They were the Nothing But Love short film, and both of these can be found on my Vimeo site, and they are free to watch. Nothing But Love is the story of a woman in her 50s who's in a controlling relationship with a man in his 30s. And then to heal through the relationship, she attends and seeks help from a counseling group. And so she reveals her story and journey with him. And it's somewhat of a tragic story with a positive uplift at the end. And then the second film, just The Honest Decision, was a script, and I wrote both of these, was a script that I wrote during COVID and filmed it myself. So there you have me portraying Deanna, and I really enjoyed that process. I liked the film. I think I will, in the future, produce the film again with a bona fide actress and other actors to help me do that, because that's not my forte, but it was an enjoyable process and I really liked that script. And then moving on, all of 2021 pretty much, we worked on a documentary for an organization, and it's called Isolated Hope: Navigating the New Normal. So this documentary was sanctioned by the Department of Behavioral Health in Washington, D.C., Prestige Community Resources, which is a nonprofit who got the grant by applying with Department of Behavioral Health. And then Prestige hired Vines Film and Media to execute the film portion of the grant. And so they were the executive producers, and we actually directed, wrote, and produced the documentary, which I am extremely proud to announce that the documentary, Isolated Hope: Navigating the New Normal, has been accepted. We are an official selection at the Indianapolis Black Documentary Film Festival. And this will take place this coming August. It's the weekend of the 26th through the 28th. And you can go on their website, is the ibdff.gov. No, not gov, .com, I believe. But if you just Google Indianapolis Black Documentary Film Festival, you can see it for 2022. We are being shown our film will be shown on Sunday afternoon, and yours truly will be there. So I'm really excited about that. It is the first film that we've had being accepted into a documentary. And there you have, we are going beyond. We are going to continue to make documentaries. And that's why, in light of our selection, I wanted to talk about things that not things I wish I knew, because they are things that I studied and did kind of know, but I want to underscore them for any of you out there who are considering doing a documentary, and would just like my insight on my experiences on having my 3 films so far. And actually, I'm in the midst of doing another documentary for the Congressional Black Caucus, the Maryland Congressional Black Caucus, and I'm also in the midst of a film. It turns out to be a short film, but it's actually a elongated gospel music video. So those will be released very shortly as well. All right, so what is number one? Number one reason, 8 things in my things to know for doing a documentary, is that you should choose a topic that has some weight and something substantive. And what do we really mean by that? It just means that it has to be a topic that's meaty enough to garner mass attention. Because if it's a topic that very few people care about, or that's not a topic that's not going to connect with people emotionally, spiritually, then it won't be received as much as other films do. So when you watch films, films that touch any medical issues, emotional issues, films with compelling community-based issues like COVID, Alzheimer's, cancer, stories that have characters that people in the documentary that have overcome something traumatic, rape, incest. Those, I know they're horrid kinds of things, but we have experienced them, and people want to know that they're not alone. People want to be able to relate to a topic that helps them see their way out of it. Because if they watch something, a film that talks to their story, and they see other people that have come out of it, they know there's hope for them as well. So, yes, you want to choose a topic that is passionate, that you have a passion for, that a story that you want to tell, but also consider how much relatability it's going to have for other people, for your viewers. So you want to make something that people are going to want to watch. So for my first short film, I believe that the story wasn't as depth and deep and as compelling enough. So it was an older woman who goes through a traumatic event, a traumatic relationship, and suffers a trauma. So it's pretty bland, and it just didn't compel people to really cling to it. So I felt the story, the actors, and everyone who participated in the film did an amazing job. So if I take most of that, I take the responsibility for the story not being as compelling because I did write the script. Okay, so number two, the second thing I recommend is develop your script. So when you do a documentary, a lot of it is, you can't script someone. You don't know what they're going to say, right? But what you can do in helping move your story along is think through the story you want to tell. And every story, rudimentary, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's a rising action, and there's a conclusion and the resolution of that story. So when you think through the story you want to tell, and the people that you interview, ensure that they have a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end that you can dramatize. So, and in your writing that script, consider thinking through the types of questions that you want to ask them to prompt them along to further your story. So it's not that you're carving out the agenda and telling them what to say, but you are helping them guide along your story, because you're the one that's telling this, and you want to have the people in your story tell it from their points of view, tell their story, but you want to ensure, and I hope I'm not rambling, but you want to make sure that they are on a right path. You don't want the people that you're interviewing to ramble. So you have a good list of questions that help guide them along in a way that will help you edit it into a beautiful beginning, middle, and end type of story. And so the other thing I wrote here is know your script so well that you're able to pitch it to someone. Have a formal pitch ready, or a pitch deck. And I have an example of one, but a formal pitch is like an elevator pitch. If you were in an elevator and you're on the 30th floor, and you have 30 seconds before you get to the first floor to ask to tell someone what your documentary is about, you need to have a concise, short, 30-second, that's 70 words, to let people know what your documentary and film is about. So, and you can do this by just writing it out over and over, and then condensing it. And if you're going to show your documentary script, that is, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, and if you want to develop a pitch deck that people can look at if you want to seek different funding. So if you want me to give you money for this documentary to help you help you create it and hire people to help you film it, then tell me what it's about. Help talk me through this process. And that's what a pitch deck will do. And so the other thing is when you're doing a script, you must research out the yin yang. Read 3, 4, 7 books about your topic. So you are well read and you understand what you're talking about. So you can help guide this story. And you're informative enough to be that expert, to use that information and inform people when they watch the film. And the last thing I have is to think visually and audibly. So when you are creating your script, imagine where you want your subjects in the film to be. You know, what kinds of backdrops, where do you want to film them? Do you want to film them in a library, in a museum? Do you want to rent studio space or something of an industrial look and maybe have them in an industrial type loft? Or do you want them in an outside on top of a mountain? You know, think through all of these things as well as the audible sensory that you want to convey to the audience, because the music, the sound effects that people hear when they're watching will bring about the emotion that you want to convey. So if someone is talking about something really traumatic and hard, you might want to film them on a rainy, stormy night and have thunder and lightning cracking and just whatever your thoughts bring you. But those are the kinds of things to keep in mind as you write your script. And this is just an example of a pitch deck. Now, this is not for a film. I just found one very quickly, but a pitch deck will do about the same kind of thing. Instead of this business example, it will be about your filmmaking. So in that first slide, you'll talk about the name of your film. And then you'll go on to talk about, who you are as a company. You'll mention the people, the crew that you have working on the film and their experience and how long they've been in the business and the kinds of projects that they work, because you want this pitch deck to bring an assurance and credibility to your company and you as a filmmaker, that whoever you're going to pitch this to, seeking money, seeking their support, financial backing, or just overall support, so they go and share the information and spread the word that this film is coming out. So you want to be able to communicate to them, to give them enough information that gives them so much confidence in your project. So yes, talk about the people that are on your film, talk a little bit about your film, talk about the characters in your film, most importantly. So who is the star of your documentary? Who is your documentary centered around? Because some person has to tell the story that you're using. So if you're doing a story on cancer survival, a person who has gone through breast cancer, you may talk to that one individual about their life before, during, and then how they've overcome it, and they will be your star of the film. And then you have the supporting cast. You may have a mother, a doctor, a best friend supporting. So you have lots of people that could be the supporting cast. You shouldn't have a lot. I misspoke, but at least maybe no more than 4 or 5, because you don't want to have so many people in your documentary that people get confused about who is who. So you want to have your central character and 3 to 5, no more than that, people who help support telling the story that you want to convey. So this is just an example. And if you want testimonials about your film and your filmmaking experiences, use that. But so this is just the kinds of things with images that people will want to see in a pitch deck. So I recommend one of those as you're putting your story together and seeking help from other people. So the 3 is your equipment. Your equipment has a lot to do with where you plan to distribute your film. So a lot of the larger name organizations like so Netflix has special requirements, Amazon Prime, probably not as strict requirements as Netflix. All of the streaming outlets, they all have requirements that you'll have to do your homework on to discover what kinds of film, what kinds of equipment you need to buy or have or rent to produce your film. So some, I believe, I haven't looked recently, but there was a time when Netflix would only accept films that were made with the Red camera. So I don't shoot with a Red. I shoot in 4K, but I don't have a Red. So if I want my documentary, that's, foremost on my mind to have my documentary be shown on the Netflix platform, I'm going to have to arrange to get that equipment for when I'm ready to film. But otherwise, on the other spectrum, other side of the film, on the other side of the coin, if you only want to make a film for your family to document perhaps your family history, then you can very well use an iPhone, use a mobile phone with a really good camera. So you can, and of course I recommend external audio when doing this, but there are so many different ways you can film. It just depends on what your overall outcome is. So if you plan for wanting it on Netflix, for instance, they have requirements. You may have to borrow or rent a camera. But otherwise, if you want to just put the film on YouTube or Vimeo, then of course you can film with the best camera you have possible. Or if you don't film at all, you're just writing and you've written an amazing script treatment and you want someone to film it, you can hire a film company like Vines Film and Media and hire us to bring your film to life. So there are so many ways you can do it, but definitely consider the type of equipment you're going to use, because that will impact where you're going to be able to distribute your film. Okay, budgeting, number 4. So when you are planning a budget, you really don't want this to get out of hand. So I recommend that you do the budgeting upfront before you get started, and just consider everything. And it sounds like, are you really giving me information? But, but yes, consider everything that you may need to spend money on. From if someone lives in, the next state over, and to travel to interview that person, you'll have to stay overnight. You'll need to budget that travel and the hotel costs into your budget, as well as the equipment, how much it's going to cost you to hire either other videographers, producers, editors, colorists, audio technicians, all of those specialized elements of filmmaking professionals cost money. So ensure that you budget, talk to them how much it's going to cost to do colorization for a 10-minute film or a 60-minute film. So you find out those things as you are doing this, so you know how much your film will cost. And and even as much as how much it's going to cost to do Facebook ads to promote your film. So lots of things to consider. But also there are lots of funding sources as well. So as you're doing your budget, and then I mentioned the pitch deck, when you want to invite people to invest in your film, then you can use that pitch deck and include your budgeting proposal to let them know how much you need and where the money is going to. because you just can't say I need $20,000 to make this film. Well, so where's that 20,000 going to go? So as a potential investor, I can give you 5,000. How are you going to use that money? And you will have your budget to support and inform them about that. And so the funding sources, you can do crowdfunding. You can just put there are different um, crowdsourcing platforms that are specific to filmmaking. And of course, I can't think of the one. It's not GoFundMe. People just use that. That's like the go-to GoFundMe, but there are others that are specific for whatever you want. So there's GoFundMe is more like if a family member needs help, but the one for filmmaking, I will look it up later and let you know if you have any interest. Just ping me and I'll let you know. But so you could self-fund. You could just, that's how I did my first film. It was my own money because I wanted to see this process made. I jumped right in. And the second film I did was $0 because I did that during COVID, and I wrote it myself and filmed it myself. And the other people I had in it doing voiceovers, they did it for free, just to help me out, and because we were all in COVID, and let's make a film. So there's from $0 upwards of $100,000 or more for a documentary. It just depends on what your vision is and how much you can convince people to support you and invest in your film. Okay, so the fifth thing that you should know is don't wait. Don't wait. Just start the process. So yes, your script may be a little sketchy and you're still doing research, but just it's nothing like getting the process started to keep that momentum going. So call and book your subjects, get your light kits, shoot by a window, get your cameras, your microphones, and just go out and start the process. Because the longer you think about it, and I'm talking to myself right now because I have my second documentary project that I'm working on. I applied for a grant. I did not get selected for the grant. I made it up to the next level of decision, but they didn't select mine. But I'm going to keep improving and improve my pitch deck because I believe it's a good story. And I think people need to hear it. I just need to be really convincing to demonstrate that this is a great story that must be produced. So I'm talking to myself that I need to kick my own butt into action and start booking those interviews to get it started. And your crew, oh yes, you must select the right folks to film, because filming is when you're out on site. It's like a marriage. You have to know how to communicate. Can't let feelings get in the way. You have to be on the same page. They have to understand your vision in order to help you capture that vision, getting it out of your head. So if you had a vision of someone and you want a depth of field and you want to film them from their left profile, then and if the videographer believes that no, it should be a frontal shot, then you're going to have a clash. So you have to hire people or work with people that you believe are going to be on board with your vision, because it is your film, and we'll get you'll get the film made. So you want people to work well with. Okay, number 7, film festivals. I recommend, if you're going to go through all of this amazing effort and get people to invest in your film, you want to see it highlighted and selected and perhaps winning a film festival. So there are lots of different film festivals out there, and they have multiple categories that you can enter your work into. So yes, there is a documentary category. There's a feature length category, short film category, a flash short film, flash shorts. So there's whatever type of film you want to make, there's likely a category that people will be able to, that you'll be able to enter it into a festival. So just consider these types of things if you have film festivals in mind for your project. So consider how long you want your movie to be. So a feature length documentary, it must be at least an hour, some upwards of 90 minutes. 90 minutes or less is a feature documentary. Or if you're doing a short film, look for those parameters too. The website that I go to for my research on film festivals is filmfreeway.com, and that lists every film festival imaginable. It's there. You can just seek to see when the submission timelines are and enter them as soon as possible. Enter early on, because the later you wait in the season to enter your film festival, the more it will cost, because then you get into the last minute entries. So say, for instance, the festival nomination subjects nominations open in February 1st. So that's the lowest pricing. It's only $20 if you enter your film in February. But yet if you wait until June, now it's up to $50 to enter your film, because those, they charge more as time goes on. So consider that when you're looking at festivals. Also, this website, it wasn't for me to talk about the Film Freeway website, but I did. But if you are going to have a film festival judges give more weight to films that have a website. So if you're going to put a lot of energy into your film, you should create a website for it. And on that website, that's where you will post the trailer of the film. You can do behind the scenes elements of the film, do a blog, your director's impressions of the process, and just document the entire journey. So film festivals like that kind of a thing. So if you want to be considered and you want to be a selectee for a film festival, I recommend you do these things. When I did the budget for the festival that Isolated Hope, Navigating the New Normal, that film, I convinced the film executive producers that we needed a website just for this case. And thank goodness they listened. We have a site, we have behind the scenes, and they were able to see that this is a bona fide, amazing product, and they selected us. Okay, so lastly, number 8, keep this in mind, that when you're editing your film, so after you filmed it, you have, I don't know how many, 30, 40 hours of footage. And when you go through that, consider the flow and the timing of your film. Because just like when you're watching a thriller movie or any type of character-based movie, there still is a rise in action, and you get to the climax, and then there's a resolution. So, consider the timing when you're editing. You want to build people up, build them up, and then you ease into the final flow of the film. So keep that in mind as you edit. It does take some skill and practice. You may not get it right, so you have people take a look at the film when it's in its rough cut format. Take a look at it, and then after that, you can adjust as need be to get that energy. And then another thing that's crucial in the editing is the type of music you choose. And sometimes you need some graphic art to dramatize it, depending on the mood and how you want your film to look. But so having that, the right music, graphic art. So for our music, the music score in our film, we did use some generic ambient type music, but we had a feature song that was commissioned, and I put the songwriter in the budget for him to record the song, and that became the theme song. It's called Solipsism, and it's just a hauntingly beautiful, jazzy type of song that is featured throughout the film. And so it just really worked out. So I really enjoyed that. And any questions? I don't believe we have any questions. So just to remind you that I am Pamela Vines, your favorite videographer and filmmaker, director, filmmaker, producer. And we at Vines Film and Media create cinematic video and short film for business owners. And we want to create film that inspire positive change and meaningful action worldwide through film. So you can find our work on YouTube. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel for updates on what we're doing. Of course, Instagram for the day-to-day, and also find me on LinkedIn. But otherwise, definitely check us out on our website, vinesfilm.com, and we will see you here next month on the second Tuesday at 2 p.m., September 8th. And I will have lots to report after I get back from this film festival journey and exciting event. So I wish you all well. Have a wonderful evening and see you soon.